Oh wow, thanks for clicking to this video. My name is Yvonne and you're welcome to Yvonne Winifred UG. Kindly subscribe so that you are notified whenever I upload new videos. So we are making these jogger pants today, and to start off I'm going to start my measurements from 1.5 inches off, and that 1.5 inches will be our waistband. So we have to put that in mind, that it is off 1.5 inches. So we'll start your tape measure from 1.5 inches. Now let's determine the crotch line. To determine the crotch line, I just divided my hip measurement of 40 inches, dividing it by 4, and I got 10 inches, and I just added 1 inch for some ease allowance around the crotch area. So along that crotch line, it is where I have to mark my hip measurement. The hip measurement I'm using is 40 inches divided by 4. I get 10 plus 1 inch as sewing allowance, and I just mark it along that crotch line. So I just transfer what I've marked along that crotch line to the waist area. It is 11 inches. I just mark again 11 inches. So from where the 11 inches are stopped at the waistline, I just rule out a line to the crotch line, just like that. And from where that crotch line is, or from where we marked the hip measurement, I have to mark my crotch measurement. And to mark that crotch measurement, I just added 2.5 inches for a medium and small person. So 2.5 inches, and I just curve out just like that. I make a little curve. Don't make that curve too much. It will look so bad after sewing. So this is the front piece, by the way. So now we have to get to the waist measurement. Since I'm going to use an elastic, I'll just leave the waist measurement just like that. I won't mark out the exact waist measurement. Since I'll be adding elastic, what I have as the hip measurement is what I'll consider as the waist measurement. The elastic will help carve out what the exact waist measurement. To continue, I have to determine the midpoint of my crotch measurement. Remember, the crotch measurement is the measurement we have from the sides along that crotch line towards where our 2.5 inches stopped. So in this case it was 13, and I divided my 13 by 2 since we are getting the midpoint. So dividing it by 2, I got 6.75 inches, and I just marked from the sides to where my 6.5 inches stopped all along till the bottom of the trouser, and afterwards I just connected those points, and I ended up with a line, and along that line is where we are going to mark all our next measurements. So when it comes to the trouser, you divide your waist and hip measurement by 4. But when it comes to the knee measurement, the ankle measurement, the thigh measurement, you divide all those measurements by 2. Only the hip and the waist measurement are divided by 4. So now I have to mark my waist measurement along that line that I've come out. So the ankle measurement that I'm using in this case is about 20 inches. No, it's about 18 inches since I'll be adding elastic. So from that midpoint I marked on each side 5 inches, and I ended up by 10 inches. Since this is on fold, when unfolded it will be 20 inches. Seam allowance added too. So from the ankle measurement, from the point that I have along the ankle measurement, I have to connect it to the crotch line. So this is what I'm doing now. I'm using my tape measure as my guide to connect those points, but if you have your rulers, please use them, make use of them. But if you can do it by freehand, just like I'm doing, you can also do that. So this is our side, and I have to mark the other side too. I have to connect from the ankle measurement towards that crotch line, and I connect those 2 points just like that. Make sure your lines are correct, but don't make your lines too straight, since those inner parts of the trouser are not so straight. So since I don't want my line to be so straight, from the crotch line I have to move in by half an inch, just as you see me doing here, and I connect that half an inch into the inner thigh of the trouser, or that inner part. And then this is what I have. So now if you want to include your knee measurement, you can just mark from your crotch line, that line that we marked, you measure it from the crotch line towards the bottom, and in this case I got 28 inches. You divide it by 2, whatever you get. I got 14. From that 14 line you go up by 2 or 1.5 inches and you mark it there, and that line will be the knee measurement. That is where you will mark your knee measurement. So it is there. So in case you want, you can include that, but if you don't want, since these are jogger pants, we don't want too tight and too, you just mark according to your preference. So in this case I just left it out, but I just wanted to show you where to mark your knee measurement. So at the waist measurement up here, I have to slide it by 1 inch. When you're making a skirt or a trouser, that front piece, or at your front piece, you have to slide it by half inch or 1 inch, but in this case I'll just slide it by 1 inch. But since you are making jogger pants, you can even leave that out, since they are jogger pants. But if they are normal trousers, you have to do it. But in this case I considered that I slanted my jogger pants. So after all those markings, we have to cut everything. Remember, we have to include some seam allowance where necessary, but in this case I was adding seam allowances as I was cutting, as I was marking all my measurements. So I just cut everything, and after cutting this front piece, we are going to use it to cut the back piece. So after cutting this front piece, you end up with 2 pieces of the front piece of a trouser or of your jogger pants, and this is what I have now. So if you want it too loose, you can add more seam allowance, but in this case these jogger pants are a bit tight, so I'm not adding too much seam allowance. So this is what I have here. I have to make sure everything is just aligning, both pieces are aligning. Then I cut out along that crotch area or crotch region. Oh, the crotch, oh my. So that is what we have as the front piece. So we are just going to use this front piece to cut out the back piece. In this case, I folded another piece of fabric and I added some allowances, as you see at the waist area here and around the crotch. So now I've just placed my front piece of of the trouser along this new fabric that I've folded, and I just marked 2 inches around the waist measurement, and I went down by half an inch as you see me there, and I marked the 2.5 inches there from where the crotch ended on the front piece. So even here where waist area ended, I'm adding 2 inches still, but these are the I'm just adding these measurements to this trouser for a medium person, but if your bum is really big, you have to add more, like 3.5 inches or even 4. Remember, I'm marking the 2 inches from where we slanted our front waistline. So now from that 2 inches that I've marked at the top, I'm just going to mark according to how the crotch is cut towards where we've marked the other 2 inches. And also I just connect a line from the sides towards this new upper point that I've marked. The back piece is always longer than the front piece at the top there by around 2 inches. So now I'm going to my knee area and I'll just mark 1 inch, and around my ankle I'll just add half an inch to 1 inch, but I've just marked in this case just half an inch, and around the knee area I marked 1 inch. So I'm just going to connect those points and the back piece will be done. Remember, we just added 2 more inches around the crotch, or at the crotch there, and even up here at the waist we just increased it by 2 inches from where we slanted the waist. We just added 2 inches and just connected those points. At the sides, don't add anything. So now this is it after cutting. Now we have the back piece and the front piece. This first one is the front piece and this is the back piece after cutting. This is how it looks. So putting the back piece aside, now let me show you how we're going to sew. So I have to cut off, remember, this 1 inch that I slanted. Now I can cut it off very neatly, and when sewing I'll just join my crotch and split out the sides. I'll do the same even to the back piece. I just connect the crotch region there and then split out these sides. Remember, they are still connected, you just have to open them up. So that is what I'm going to do at the sewing machine. So this is it after sewing. There is that line of half an inch seam allowance. I've joined the 2 back pieces together, and I've also joined the 2 front pieces together along the crotch. So that is the front and this is the back. I've joined the crotch of those 2 pieces of the back, and this is how it looks like. So after joining the crotch, I have to join the sides also, but in this case you can even, before joining the sides, you can add some pockets of any any style that you want, and I'll show you the pockets that I added, but I didn't show how to cut them. I know you know how to cut the pockets. So before joining the sides, I have to join my crotch measurement, the crotch, or that inner leg, and I join it, but making sure the crotch points are aligning. Then I'll join the sides, and after joining the sides I will measure up all this waist measurement all round, and whatever I get I cut off or I just cut out a long piece of fabric that I'll be considering as the waist belt or the waistband. So in this case it is about 4 inches, and when folded it is 2 inches. Remember, we are using 1.5 inches as the waistband and the half inches for joining, which makes it 4 inches. So this is the pocket that I cut. It is about 7 inches in width and like 10 inches. So guys, after cutting, after sewing, this is what I have. I've joined my pocket. It is just only one pocket along the right side of the trouser, and this is the waist. After joining it, the sides are also joined, and even the inner leg is joined. So at the back here, I didn't sew up that back because that is where I'm going to pass my elastic. And along the hem, I'll just fold it by by 1 inch. I'll fold 1 inch twice, and I'll leave like 2 inches opening where I'll pass my elastic. So guys, after all the elastic, this is the trouser. Everything is done. So that is the waist, and this is the ankle, around the ankle. So the trouser is done. It is so simple. I used an elastic of the waist measurements that I was considering, minus about 2 inches. That is the elastic that I used around the waist, and I did the same accordingly at the ankle. So this is the trouser. Thank you so much for watching and learning with me. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you soon.